When it comes to finding influencers, there are a couple different ways to go about doing this. There are sites that exist that are basically databases of different influencers, sort of like eBay. You can go on and look through different categories or different types of people you're looking for, find them, see what their previous deals have been, see how big their reach is and other stats and their performance, and then use that information to reach out to them and hopefully form a contract. These cater to both large-scale influencers as well as smaller ones or micro-influencers that are more up and coming. There are also some influencer agencies that exist that purposely specialize in connecting you with the right different influencers you want to use for a campaign. Obviously, this is not free, but if you're a larger advertiser, this is really valuable. They can go through and negotiate all the different details and coordinate all the different influencers for your campaign and make it a lot easier for you to go through and manage them. For smaller accounts, I suggest a more manual approach, going through and basically taking a look at the information you have on your personas. Did they identify any influencers they all follow? What types of topics do they want to follow as well too? You might be able to make some pretty good guesses based on information you have from your research or from taking a look at the Facebook audience tool. You might also go through and search for hashtags that are relevant to your particular business and see what type of top accounts come up. You might be able to use that information to reach out to those particular people and see if they'd be down to rep your brand. There are some tools as well too, like the one Social Bakers has, linked down below, which you can use to go and try and find influencers based on this kind of information. Really, you can go through and do a lot of this quite easily on your own, and you don't have to pay an outside agency to go through and do this research for you. When it comes to contacting influencers, my biggest tip is to make sure you message through your business account. This ensures that they know you're legitimately that business itself. If you message through your personal account, they might not realize or trust that you actually are part of that particular business account. If they have an email, of course, in their profile, by all means use that, because they might have actually turned off their DMs and not be monitoring those. When you reach out to them, ask how they do brand partnerships and what kind of information they can provide you on them, right? They might have some standard responses, they might have standard information on their organic reach and their engagement rates, and maybe even a price list. In other cases, it might be surprising how cheap they might be able to work with you for. Maybe it's just free product. That'd be amazing. In other cases, if you give a number before them, you might actually lose out because it might be higher than what they would have actually quoted you. Like any negotiation, whoever gives a number first can lose more. So try to get them to give you a number or give you a price before you reveal how much you're willing to pay. If you're working to get donations for a charity, it might also be the case that they'll simply do it for free. If they support your charity and want to be part of that cause, you might get free publicity simply based on that. Like any business deal, you want to trust but verify. So as a negotiation proceeds, make sure you try and ask for some support for any claims they make, whether it's their organic reach numbers or performance of previous campaigns. See what you can do to try to support what they're saying. You also want to go through and check and see if their accounts had any jumps suddenly in terms of their number of followers. This is a signal that they might have actually gone through and bought a whole bunch of followers, and you might not have the true reach that you're expecting. When you're talking with your influencer, see if you can also think like a marketer and have them do a couple different posts as opposed to just one. A single post might get lost in someone's feed, but more importantly, if people have never heard of your product or service, having a couple posts will allow them to walk through that larger consumer decision-making journey, right? Learn more about you, become aware of you, get more information, and then hopefully go through and buy. You also want to think about the type of content you're asking them to create. As you know by now, having video would be best, right? A lot of information coming through, it's more eye-catching because there's movement, but obviously there's a lot more work for them to go through and create it. So think about maybe you can compromise on a carousel, having a couple different photos showing different aspects of your product or service as opposed to just one. So think about how can you get more information and more of that consumer decision-making journey coming through in your arrangement with that particular influencer. Other questions you want to ask about include things like what other brands have they worked with recently and what other ones are they planning on working with in the future. Will you be able to get exclusivity, and if so, for how long? And maybe just exclusivity in a certain product category. You really don't want them promoting your product and then promoting a competitor's in a couple of weeks. So ask about that. It might cost more, but just find out more information about what's happening there. I'd also suggest asking how long their post will stay up. Is it for 6 months, forever, until their next deal comes along? Who knows? But ask them and find out more information. You might also ask about getting access to their extra photos and videos that they create as part of their shoot, or even if you can use their actual photo itself in any future promotions. You might have to pay extra, but they can be really good at creating really nice photos and videos, so it might be worth paying a bit more money to have them do part of a photo shoot for you. When it comes to payment, I always suggest going through and paying at the end after you've seen that the performance has actually occurred. Some influencers will also do what's called guaranteed reach, where they have a guaranteed number of people who will see their post. And if they don't get enough organic reach to meet that, they will actually go through and pay themselves to make sure enough people actually see your particular post. This is more common with bigger ones, but it's important to make sure you get what you pay for. I also strongly encourage you to go through and do stuff like unique coupon codes that allow you to track the performance of your particular influencer. And ideally, if it was me, I would pay them for actually having people go through and buy using that coupon code. That aligns their interests with yours and makes them much more likely to want to go through and work hard to make sure that you actually get sales. You make money, they make money. It's fantastic. Finally, think about what could go wrong. Maybe they create content you just don't like. What happens then? Do they redo it as part of the deal, or is there some sort of payment you owe them? What if they go through and create stuff and post it, but then later on they go crazy and post a whole bunch of crazy stuff on their social media accounts? What do you do then, right? Do you want to have a good character clause as part of your particular deal, right? Think about that. For smaller accounts, not a huge deal, but if you're working with a really big celebrity, that could be a concern that you want to address and include as part of your contract. I've posted some additional links down below with some extra resources and guides to working with influencers. If you're interested, I encourage you to take a look at those. And of course, if you have any experience doing this yourself, either as an influencer or working with them as part of your internship, by all means, please share your advice in the comments or of course on our discussion board up on Blackboard.